my new hidey hole I found in the city, we are making our own pod from scratch. The results were way better than I thought they were gonna be. I was a little pessimistic, but you guys definitely gotta check it out. Then we're gonna dive into how well-placed equipment can make the world of difference, even if it's not the largest thing and baddest expensive thing out there. And at the end of this video, we're gonna see what those results do and show you guys in the real world. And that's gonna be starting off with this turd and that new addition to the team. What's up, y'all? Rob Cole here, and today we are on the music tip again. Some of y'all not really used to the music, y'all used to the fast and the hot rod stuff, but we're not doing that today. So what I'm focusing on today is a pod for the back window, because the stuff that I compete in, it's going to come in handy. Usually I tell people, especially like in a regular car, even in my car, I refrain from doing back decks if you want the sound to project. But from RVT Built, Reggie, in his C1500, he had a step side like mine. And with his step side, his back deck worked miracles. Now, if I had to guess why his worked miracles, is because it's not like it's trying to come from a straight up in the air angle from the back seat and then work its way past the back seat to the front seat or even out the windows. Either way, it's less travel. So I'm guessing that's why his worked. That's why I came up with what I came up with today. And check it out.
Another DJ DNA production.
All right, y'all, so this is only my second time doing something like this. Last time I did something like this was years ago, and it turned out horribly. This isn't much better, but it definitely was better than the last time. So trying to get this done, I definitely had to juggle quite a few things, and it took days. It was definitely a longer process between trying to, balance work, a woman, kids, all that. I just kind of chipped away with it until I finally got it done. So in this first picture, I got the framework done, and I definitely did do minimal, I want to say, measuring, and it was a lot of guesswork, but through experience. Use hot glue, whatever the case may be, but once I figured it out and balanced it and got it and said, you know what, this is where I want it to stay, that's when I locked it in. So use the PL, use the wood glue and the staple gun, got it in place. That's when I got the fleece. Once I got the fleece, wrapped it around the whole thing, got it as tight as I could. Those corners are really tricky. It's going to leave something for body work later, but staple it on the back end, and now the fleece was tight and ready for resin. So hit it with a few coats of resin, and then after that, to really add the strength, is definitely that fiberglass mat. So definitely put some more resin on it while it was damp, laid the fiberglass mat, went over it again, and that fiberglass mat is definitely what did the trick. I actually have about probably 2 layers on here. Then after that, just cut out the excess material in the circles where the speakers go, and my Dremel really came in handy. That just cleaned up the edges and knocked it back until it was a flush finish. And last but not least, you're going to see some Bondo spots where those imperfections in those corners where the material overlaid and there was like divots. The Bondo finished that off. Boom. So here's the pod that I'm putting together. I mean, it's pretty much together. It's still rough. I still got a ways to go. I'm probably not going to wrap it myself. I might get somebody else to do that, but Still trying to get out all the framework and making sure that it's solid and good to go. And if you look, I kind of got it somewhat as a, I want to say a 45, but I mean, it's not like I put like an actual angle on here with the, you know, calculation or whatever. But yeah, so the goal is hopefully with the way it fires, it's kind of going to fire on the way to where it's going to go out one window of one door and out the other window of the other door. So yeah, here's the bracket that I made up for it with a lot of kind of, I want to say measuring. Wasn't too hard, but I'll get it in the truck so you guys can see what I'm trying to get at here. It's definitely going to look a lot better once everything's finished and put together, carpeted, wrapped with vinyl, painted, whatever the case may be. Okay, so here's the current setup right now. If you guys saw the previous video that had me getting the box and replacing the subs and redoing the subfloor, reinforcing it, all that, then you kind of know where this came from. But here's the focus. So looking at the back window, I wasn't trying to build something that was so massive it covered the entire thing, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure it was effective. So what I decided was this thing was either going to go at the bottom or was going to go closer to the top. I'm going to go with the top only because I'm thinking the pressure from that port, like hitting on it, I don't want it to even take the chance of blowing a hole through it. So that's why I'm going to have it kind of angled toward the top. And I wanted to make sure it was a way that I could secure it at the top and also at the bottom. So if you kind of remember how I had it, you saw kind of a piece coming down. That piece is going to go along here, and with my double face plated backboard for the rear of the cab, I have plenty of meat to bite into with an actual like screw. So that's going to be the bottom part. Then when you come up to the top, I actually have some brackets, I want to say some bent angle iron that was from a wing that I was making, and it kind of works out because the way I'm going to do it is right up here. So I'm going to kind of mock it up. You're going to see me kind of place it in here. And once I mock it up and the bracket's up here, I'm going to take some marker, mark out the two holes where it needs to go, drill those holes, and actually put rib nuts to make it easily removable whenever I want to take it out. All right, so here it is, roughly put into place. And this is kind of pretty much the gist of where it's going to sit. Now, you can kind of see what I mean here. So I get closer with the bracket. Truthfully, I probably would need a little more angle on it in order for it to be like flush, but I think it's going to be close enough where I can make it work. If not, it is what it is. I'll have to take it, bend it, and if it don't work like that, then I have to take it somewhere and have it bent. No big deal. And this pretty much kind of gives you how it's going to mount. So this right here, like I said, all down this board here, I have plenty of birch behind here that I can bite into and get it to mount solid to the back wall. And as far as the top goes, we already discussed that. That's how that's going to work. Now, as far as these sides here, once the pod is mounted to this, I'm actually going to mount it with 4 T-nuts, kind of like a cross, to hold it to the mounting board. And on top of that, I'm actually going to trim also the edges so that way you can't see this board from the front whatsoever. It's almost going to be kind of like it's floating. The only way that you'd see any connection would be down below here, which is going to be covered with some sort of vinyl. I may keep it regular and just do kind of like a black leather looking thing. I may just have it be carpet so it blends in with the box. It could be diamond stitch. I mean, the options are endless. But once again, still a lot of trimming to do, and so that way this thing looks a lot cleaner than it does, and it'll make the finished product that much better. Okay, so let's get to the stars of the show when it comes to this one and this pod specifically. Some of the stuff I already have experience with because, I mean, I've been running PRV for a while. Everybody has. I have tried some different stuff, and I do have some other stuff in the works. But when it comes to budget, man, PRV has really pressured the game to kind of make affordable pro audio equipment. But anyway, for starters, we'll focus on this horn driver. Now, this horn driver is so compact. I want to say that this is pretty much like the equivalent of a tweeter when it comes to size. I have already put this in place with some tweeters that I have in my door, and I'm trying to get that mold right. So this is an example of the horn driver mixed in with the tweeters. Now, what the cool part is, with it being so compact, you can get extra vocal out of these things and not just tweeter sound. You tune these correctly, these will absolutely play lower range vocal and go down into like the 1500K. So absolutely had to add these to the mix, and there's going to be 2 of everything in this pod. You're going to have a horn and a tweet on each side, along with a mid-bass speaker. So that's these things. Now let's move on to the tweets. These tweeters have been, I mean, they have been getting me by for a long time. I haven't ran them since I ran on my Suburban because I was trying to go with a really compact setup in this truck, and I really kind of went off the deep end. So I had to trim them up, find a way to use them. And since I put them in, I am glad that I did make the transition. These things sound amazing. So part number right there, TW500 MYND. And yeah, these things aren't really bulky at all. They just have a really bulky, I want to say face, or a really wide face, and that's about it. So these are also going to join the team up there, and once again, 1 per side. Next, we have these 6.5s. Now, I've never used these, but I mean, 6.5s have come a long way. The first ones that I really thought was like one of the nastiest 6.5s ever to exist would have been the 500 NDs or the NDYs. Those things are nasty. I've had them before, I have them now, but this is the first mid-bass 6.5 that seems like it's really going to do the job. So I could have went with those Neos or the new Neo that they just put out, but that new Neo 6.5 is like 200 bucks each. I'm not doing that right now. But anyway, yeah, one of the reasons why I went with this one is because this one has way more, obviously, because it's called an MB, it's meant for mid-bass. This is the way better option for mid-bass. I don't need much mid-range vocal, if any at all, because I have all of these helping with that higher end. I just need something to give me some of that lower end hit and that depth to the vocals. So these holes are for a 8-inch speaker, but the type of competition that I compete in, you're in weight classes. So if I was to put an 8 here, along with the 2 8s that are already in each door, that would put me above and knock me up into lightweight. I'm trying to still play around in featherweight right now, so that's one of the reasons why I just grabbed the 6.5s, and they're gonna do the job to go in here. And they can actually take similar power to what my other ones do. But yeah, anyway, these will have to do the job for now in there on each side. All right, so I just did a whole bunch of cutting, sawdust everywhere. I'm gonna have to get rid of this before it rains because then it's gonna be really hard to get rid of it. But anyway, I have 2 sets of rings here. So since I'm actually gonna be running the 6.5s for in here for now, like I said, instead of the 8s, which this is made for, I need to make some sort of a baffle to adapt it down. Now, what made it really nice for these, I am not that good with like woodworking, but those audiopipe rings, the pre-made rings, the flush mounts are amazing. I mean, these are the flush mount ones, but they do sell ones that are literally just flat rings, but I just like the look of the flush mount. Anyway, back to these rings. I have some that are 1/2 inch in thickness, and I have some that are 3/4 in thickness. Now I could go with either one, either way, but I'm just gonna see which one of these I like the fit of better in here. Now it's not dropping in for now, which I kind of expected because it's still a rough cut. I'm just going to take my grinder with a sand disc on it and kind of go over around the edges of all of these to make sure that they smooth and that they actually do drop into these spots. And once I know all of them drop in, I'll go in and make sure that the 6.5s, well, I already did that. The 6.5s do fit. I definitely did that beforehand because trying to cut these rings and hold it down and cut with holding on to just this sucks. It's better when you have just a whole board. But anyway, I'm going to sand these things down on the outside, get them right, and go from there. All right, so here's somewhat of a preview. I got it fitted in on both sides. Fits inside the flush mount ring and actually comes up a little bit shorter than the actual ledge, I'd say. But here, just for example, got one of the 6.5s in, and over here is where I have the other rings. Now, I went with the 1/2 inch rings. These here are the 3/4 rings. But just to give you a quick idea how I made them, I'm a big reference guy, and one thing that I think really makes a clean, neat pod is actually smooth edges. And to get those smooth edges, you kind of got to start off with a really good foundation, which is these smooth circular rings, which is the audiopipe rings that I use to make the foundation. So this is the flush mount rings that the audiopipe rings come with if you get the flush mounted ones. And what I did to create these was I got the flush mount ring from the 8-inch holes, the one that came with these, and I put it on a piece of wood and just traced the outside, because I knew that the outside diameter is what would fit inside of this flush mount. So that created my outer ring. Now once you get done with the outer part and you circle that piece of wood, then you take the 6.5 flush mount ring, and that's going to go on the inside of the other ring. And then once you do, you're worried about tracing the inner diameter. That inner diameter is what you're going to cut out, and that is going to give you this hole right here. So that way you know that it's a pretty decent circle. And on top of that, the actual hole here is going to work out because it's the inner diameter of the flush mount ring. So that's how I was able to just make these up real quick, cut them down, smooth them out, made sure they went in, and that was that. Okay, so back in here, and I'm kind of running out of daylight, so some of us so much I'm gonna continue to be able to get on camera. So here on the back side, what I'm gonna have to do is I think I'm gonna have a slight gap at the bottom, because the 2 layers of wood that I have up against the wall brings the back wall almost flush with the trim piece that comes factory on the car. So the thing that I'm going to have to worry about is it's not actually flush, so there is a slight gap at the bottom. So if I have it here and I put pressure, what's stopping it right now, let me try to get a little closer. What's stopping it right now is the actual plastic of the trim. And I'm not trying to put a lot of uneven wear. So to take the space up under here, I have a piece from the 1/2-inch wood that I was using to cut the baffle rings. I'm going to put that behind this back end, and once I do that, that should give me what I need to make this flat. Okay, so definitely had to change a few things. That bracket that I thought that I might be able to get to work is not going to work. So I have it put up to where it needs to be. I'm actually putting pressure right now on it so it doesn't slide down, because it's not resting on the box. It's actually going up until it makes contact with the roof. So I'm going to go to Lowe's, get an actual like angle finder so that I can find what angle that is and make a brace that is that exact angle so that I know that it works. As far as down here goes, I actually ended up doing more than just that 1/2-inch piece. I actually had to add a 3/4 piece on top of the 1/2-inch piece to get it to come up and sit where it's sitting now, so that way it's not up against the glass. It's odd because you would figure that, you know, whatever was the flattest part back there, that the top of it would probably sit flush with it, but it kind of doesn't. I want to say the top almost curves in a bit and kind of overlays the bottom. So that's pretty interesting. But again, I mean, who knows? We'll see how it all comes together. Once it's all carpeted and cleaned up and it blends in, things should start coming together nice. But anyway, looking at the center, you can kind of see the cutout that I have here at the top. That is the space that's taken up by the pod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the edges, like I said, of course over on the tops on the side, and I got to figure out how much I'm willing to cut up. And I already pre-made measurements, like that's 19 inches, 20 inches, and I may come up even more. But of course I don't want to go with too much, because eventually I'll start to take away from the integrity of the brace to the point where the brace is just flapping in the wind from these subs going ham. So I mean, I guess that's something that I won't really know until after I start getting into it. And the one thing is, shoot, you can cut too big as many times you want. You cut too short, it's over, you lost. So I'm just going to trim away slow, take my time, and get this thing how I want it to be. Okay, so here's kind of a preview of what it would be like up here. So it would be mounted up. You wouldn't see too much of the top bracket, because like I said, everything else is going to get, well, everything's going to get wrapped in some sort of a vinyl carpet, whatever the case may be. But this is pretty much where it's going to sit. So you're not going to see anything on the sides. I mean, you can barely see anything now, but I'm going to trim it so it's going to be even more flush. And then as far as the bottom goes, I'm still debating on if I want to try to use the bottom to kind of brace with the edge of the box, or if I want to cut it up so that way well, not cut it up, but cut it upward so that way you see all glass at the bottom, and there would only be like a small section over here that would come up and meet. But again, I'm not trying to take too much away from the integrity. So, I mean, for now, I think I'm just going to stick with continuing to try to get the upper bracket right, get that together, and at least trimming the tops on the sides. All right, so this is where we at in the process now. Just put it up there. I literally only have one screw down there and there. I got it pretty much held up right up against where the point is that I'm going to mount it. So I got the T-nuts in. I just pretty much just drilled in from the back part. I'll give you more detail on that once I actually mount the pod, because I had to keep working, running out of daylight, all of that crap. But anyway, inside of each hole, there's a T-nut on the backside. So now when I do unmount the pod, mount the pod, I won't be going in and out of wood, which would only last for so long, but I'm actually going into threaded steel. So yeah, so those are done. So now the other issue as far as finding this angle, because I had this angle iron here, trying to get it to be pretty much the angle I needed it to be. And I went to Lowe's and had no luck. They do have angle finders, but the angle finders weren't pretty much small enough to fit into this tight space here. They were all too bulky at the end and wouldn't have worked. So I had to go old school, quick, and just literally get a piece of cardboard and just trim until I finally got it down to the angle that it needed to be. So this one puts me, let's see, that's pretty much the angle that I was okay with. And that's what I'm going to use to mount. So I already went a step ahead. Don't even ask. It was a hack job. It sucked, but I had to put some heat on it with the torch and hit it with a hammer with no vise. That sucked, but I achieved the angle that I needed in order for it to work. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this up top here. So this pretty much mounts, I want to say, right along that line that I have here. Or I could probably take it up a little bit and go from there. But this here is pretty much where I need to be as far as mounting it up. So I'm just going to get a marker, mark those holes out, drill 2 new holes, put the bolts through, and then come back in and do the same thing for the sheet metal so I can drill those out and actually put the riv nuts in. All right, so this is where we at now. I got 2 holes drilled right there that match up with the bracket. I really think I'm probably gonna end up putting slots into this mounting bracket here because yeah, I don't think it's always gonna mock up spot on, even though that's why I'm doing so much measuring, is because I'm hoping that it does. But drilled these 2 holes out. They match up with those on the bracket, and now I'm about to step up to the bigger drill bit that is the diameter of the riv nut you guys see here. So I'm just going to swap this out, make that a little bit bigger, get the riv nut in there, and get it secured. All right, so that's those 2 down. Now I gotta get the riv nuts in there. What? Did I miscalculate or something? Hold on. Now, what? Wow. All right, now that we got it right, first one in. Ooh. All right, first squeeze. I usually twist a little more. Give it another squeeze. Don't want to go too crazy, but I do want to make sure that it is in there pretty snug. All right, I may give it one more, I don't know, one more screw and squeeze, but let's get this other one started. All right, so trying to get this thing up here. Let's see how it goes. Even if I'm in the ballpark, I can make that do, or make do. All right, so out of curiosity, before I actually use the screw to hold the base, let me see what it looks like just going through here. But you know what, no, it's not gonna work. I still have to hold it up to get in there. Let's see. Shit. Alright, that is one threaded in. I know I got another one somewhere. Let's see what this one looks like. Nope. Gotta make that hole bigger. It's not lining up like I hoped it would. So to get a little closer, here's a dilemma here. Hold on. Now that bolt in place, that hole is off by a bit. So I'm gonna have to drill this bracket out going up to the up left to get it to work. Yeah, you're gonna have to go up and to the left with that hole. All right, so for a few seconds, I was actually feeling, I wanna say, like a professional. I just went and took my hands on the back side, felt around, and you can feel the ridges of the T-nuts on the back that I had put in place. And I just literally just cut like little squares just so I can get to it. Then I took my soldering iron, which I used to take off the filters that are on like the tweeters and the horns or whatnot, because I have a crossover, I don't need the filters on it. And I put it through the holes. Let's see. And then on the front side here, these are the holes here. So I can tell where I need to go as far as mounting the pod itself. All right, quick rough look. This thing looks horrendous, but this is just for now because I do want to get the speakers mounted in, get them wired up, definitely get it playing, but I don't know what I'm going to end up having to alter, so I'd rather have it all done and figured out and then take it back out, take it to whoever to have it wrapped to match the interior. So down here I drilled a 1/2-inch hole because I want it to stay as much of an enclosure as possible so the mid base has a nice hit and a pop to it. So it's all one piece now. I'm just gonna mess with this here. It's all one piece now. I have the bolts in the top and going through the T-square, well not just the top, but bottom, top, here, and here. Because I only built 4 and I kind of made them work so that way it had even pressure around the whole thing. All right, so here it is bolted in. This is exactly where it's gonna sit. Yeah, this right here is its home spot. Only thing I can say now is I just have to clean up, get up all the sawdust and crap. I mean, this paint's really bothering, but I'm really trying to look past it because I know this isn't the final form, and I know it's gonna be wrapped with like a black vinyl, kind of looking like a black leather. And then up there, I'm just gonna figure out, which truthfully, I may actually smooth that stuff out and get that wrapped as well so that it kind of blends in a little better. But this is pretty much, I wanna say where I want it to sit. I didn't want it to sit too close up to the roof because it wouldn't be serviceable as far as me getting my hands up here. And as you can see, it did work out. I didn't have to take the pod off in order to get it to work. I was able to put it all on in one piece and bolt it right up. And I used one of these things. These are 13 bolt heads to tighten it up, and it's solid. So after me grabbing it and playing with it and like trying to pull it and whatnot, I definitely feel confident putting those speakers in here, because even though they're 6.5, the magnets on those things are freaking huge. So what I'm going to do now is kind of just to get the wiring set up. I have to grab, get a couple strands of wire, run it through my hole down in there, and I'm probably just going to take both things, 2 of each, and join them together inside of the pod, and then run the 1 wire out. So I should have 3 wires coming out. 1 of them for the tweets coming out, 1 of them for both horns, and 1 of them for both 6.5s, and that should be good to go. All right, so I am kind of like midway, almost done-ish, but not through. So I ran out of these things that I use, these clips, so that I can actually slide on the tabs that come on here, instead of trying to like take away a bunch of strands and stick it through the tiny holes on the sides. Like for example, I'll show you here on this driver. Yeah, I'm not trying to squeeze wire through there. I used to back in the day, but no. I'm just going to use the clips that actually slide on and hold on to it and kind of go from there. Now the issue I'm running into is because I don't have any more of those, I can't actually mount the horns the way they should be. So the wire's already ready, sticking out, waiting to go. I have to go to the store, grab some more. And once I get the other clips, I can put them onto the ends and then put the drivers in, put screws in, and they will be good to go. So I like to color code my stuff so I know what's what, and I did this completely throughout my car. Throughout my truck, especially because I'm always messing with something or adding something later, and I run extra wire just in case I need it. But for example, so the ones with the blue tape go to the 6.5s, and it matches all throughout all of the wires in there. Then I have the yellow tape there, that's for my tweeters. Those are all connected, and I also have my white, which is down here, and that is going to be for the horns, as you can see here. So all of it's connected. Last but not least, got to get my trim rings, put my trim rings in, mount those, and then put the 6.5s in, and those I actually can hook up because they are a push terminal. So, you know, just trying to get it done. All right, so there's the 6.5s mounted. They're in, and I'm really curious what kind of mid bass these things are going to throw. Because they definitely feel, and like I showed you guys earlier, they are very, very stout. So let's see if the specs actually hold up to what they say they are. And one thing I will say too, it's cool because these things have a 2-inch voice coil, and because of the depth of the motor, it helps give it that extra throw. So we'll see how that translates into actual sound. But hopefully, I'm still trying not to judge it 100% until after I get everything cleaned up to see if I like it or love it, and if this is a waste of time, I don't know. But as far as from a sound standpoint, I'm quite sure this is definitely going to give me a whole new dynamic when people are standing in front of the truck. The doors are doing all the work for like the back and even some of the sides, but as far as the front goes, this is where I'm hoping this thing will definitely help me out. But last, gotta actually hook everything up, hook up these wires, make my quick disconnect, so when I do take this pod out, the tweeters and horns aren't really heavy. I'll probably just end up taking out the 6.5s and then removing this whole pod, 2 top bolts, whatever screws I have down here, and whole thing's gonna come out. But definitely gonna get some quick disconnects on the end of that so I can just plug in, unplug, and keep it pushing. So just like the video with the subs, going to do the same thing here. We're going to check it out and actually show you guys what it does. Now, yes, it is a video. You would actually have to be here to really get it. But at the same time, you're definitely going to be able to catch it on camera. And with that being said, I'm definitely going to show you guys kind of like what I already had covered and what angles you could hear it from. So with the door of the truck open, you pretty much can catch anything I want to say here. and then even working your way around, you'll be able to catch anything coming from the doors. So you definitely get some sort of side action, and then of course you got everything from back here, and then moving over to this side, same thing. So pretty much I want to say like half the truck, pretty much from here all the way around, is covered, but you can't really catch anything from the front. Definitely a drastic drop in sound when you go around to the front of the truck. And so what the goal is for this thing now is to be able to have some sort of a sound that actually travels to the front. So as you walk around, the sound will still follow you. So being right here, you can't really see it because it's kind of dark in there, but looking inside, that 6.5 is staring me straight in the face, along with the tweeter and the horn. So all of those firing out this way and firing out the other side, especially with the window down, should definitely give me some sort of sound going on here. Only other thing I can think of is, I mean, you might hit like a slight dead spot once you hit dead center, but it's definitely way better than it's going to be, well, than it was without the pod being there. So closer up shot inside, and yeah, so fully loaded. Subs are definitely working great. If you watched the last video, they have definitely broken in and have some output for sure. It is definitely increased from day one when I first showed you guys what this thing can do. But yeah, for freestyling it, not bad. The angle is still pretty good. It's firing out where I wanted it to. If I placed it any higher, I definitely ran the risk of possibly, I want to say, not kind of being too high to the point where you would have to probably squat down a bit in order to hear it. But without even squatting, the sound's coming out. Other than that, again, definitely still got to finish this thing. Gotta take it out, take the speakers out, gotta take it to get it wrapped, put the panel back in the top so that way it just looks that much cleaner of an install.
Secure beats hit harder than my mom's trunk. Wow, wow. Secure beats hit harder than my mom's trunk.
I dropped some liquor inside of a double cup just to mix juice in the middle of it. And it's cause of this red ass tattoo on my neck. The bitches think I'm always up to something. But you like your peace and you hate the drama. You don't like these niggas, get that from your mama. If you like design clothes, I guess you prouder. Instead you want quality time and I'll pop up. I think she love me so much, that's the reason she hate me. We could watch this, she won't take you to Macy's. I told Spud Web, attitude's Katie. And she could've played me. I'm a cyber-sexual. No game. This song is because I miss you. I know you're used to late, so that's the reason I keep it so like what you need, baby. Come on, let's go out and eat, baby. Having a beverage and cheap, maybe. It comes with the money, the bullshit, the fun niggas. That's what I told you before that it's up with us. I keep it, just know that it's stuck with her. She hates Danny, but she loves forever. I dropped some liquor inside of a double cup just to mix juice in the middle of it. And it's cause you red ass tattoo on my neck. The bitches think I'm always up to something. But you like your peeps and you hate the drama. You don't like these niggas, get that from your mama. If you like designer clothes, I get you proud. Instead you want quality time and I'll pop her. I think she love me so much, that's the reason she hate me. We could watch it, she won't take you to Macy's. She could've played me. I'm tired of this, I'm spite, I'm tired of lust. Yeah, I wanna take my time with you, cause I wanna build up the trust.
All right, so that's a wrap, y'all. Great results. Matter of fact, I'm quite sure coming around on camera, you could kind of tell when you started to hear the front pod kick in and then you hear it kick out. Mainly kicking in. There's a slight dead spot, dead center in the middle of the truck, but other than that, that's it. So I am happy with the results, and that is definitely going to help me when it comes to competing, for sure. But all right, y'all, hopefully y'all enjoyed this one, and I'll see y'all on the next one, man. Peace.